Hello guys, Movie Explain here. Today I am going to explain an American science fiction comedy film called Idiocracy. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. The premise of the movie is set in the year 2005. At the beginning of the movie, it is narrated that human evolution is the turning point. Most science fiction theorists predict that the future of humans is going to be more advanced with smarter people. But because humans are already on the top of the food chain, the evolution takes a turn for the worse. People grew dumber with time. In such conditions, the US Army Liberated Corporal Joe Burns is approached by his seniors proposing him to be a part of important experiment. Joe, who had planned to stay as librarian till retirement, is announced that he has to follow the orders. Then we are taken to a private meeting between some high-ranking military officials. General Collins presents his ideas to the other officers. He says that the scientists have invented a human hibernation pod that can preserve human beings for an indefinite amount of time. It is so humans can preserve their finest men at their prime and revive them in the time of need. They have chosen Joe to be the first test experiment because he is the most average man in the military and has no immediate family. Similarly, they also required women for the experiment, but they didn't have a perfect left in the military. Hence, Collins chooses a prostitute named Rita. He shows the officer's picture of him and Rita's manager Upgrade, plotting together, making everyone in the room uncomfortable. He ends his presentation by saying that the subjects will be put into the pods tomorrow and the experiment will go on for a year. Since the experiment is highly classified, the officials present in the room aren't allowed to share the information with anyone. The next day, Joe and Rita are together in the waiting room. Joe introduces himself and asks Rita what sector she is from. Not wanting to reveal that she is a prostitute, Rita says that she is a painter. Then both of them are put on IV and into two human hibernation pods. Rita freaks out and tries getting up, but Joe assures her that the scientists know what they are doing. He tells her that they will be inside for a year, so it will be perfectly fine. At last, the two are sealed inside the pods. However, things go too wrong. When Officer Collins is arrested in the attempted prostitution ring, along with him, Upgrade is also arrested for being the ringmaster of the prostitution ring. Hence, now no one is there to look after the hibernation pods. Because of the scandal, the military base is closed and the building's pods are demolished. Joe and Rita lie dormant in the pods as the years passes. Although things look bad for the two, they even go worse for mankind. Humans begin to evolve stupider at the frightening rate. The chart of average intelligence goes downhill with time. Some people have higher hope that genetic engineering and science will be able to correct this trend of evolution. But the smartest scientists in the world are focusing on stupid experiments like trying to reverse hair loss and prolong erections. In the meantime, the population explodes and intelligence continues to decline until the year 2505. All these years, people aren't able to solve basic human problems like garbage disposal, so the garbage has been stopped for centuries with no plan whatsoever. The creatures, the Great Garbage Avalanche of 2505, and one day a massive garbage landslide causes Joe hibernation pods to end up in a random house. Joe gets out of the pod dizzy and confused. The person in the house is named Fricho Padengo. Frito completely ignores a pile of garbage and a stranger in his house and continues watching weird shows on TV. He only gets up to ask Joe not to make noise. We see that his coach also has a toilet so he wouldn't have to get up time and again. He then kicks Joe out of the house window. The outside world seems confusing to Joe and he says to himself as much he has changed in just a year. But little does not know he is centered in the year 2505. He sees a group of people by the side of the road who talks in slang and grunts. Joe is able to understand them, but he speaks like his normal self. They call him slurs and chase him away. A confused Joe also feels dizzy as he decides to go to a nearby hospital. There he goes to the reception and tells her he is from the army. The woman doesn't understand anything and he just presses one of many buttons on her desk. The boy asks Joe to proceed to the diagnostic area of the right. Confused Joe, he goes to drink some water from the water fountain, but it supplies an energy drink called Brando instead of water. When Joe asks a bystander where he can drink water, the man laughs at Joe for wanting to drink something they use in toilets. It is revealed that everyone in the world uses Brando to both drink and for daily activities, but water is only used in toilets. Then he goes to the diagnostic area where he has to put plugs into his mouth, ear and arms, anus. The health professional mismatches the plugs that he already put into specific areas. A disgusted Joe completes the procedure and is sent to the doctor. While waiting, he sees the date 2505 written on a magazine but dismisses it as a misprint. The doctor arrives and answers all of Joe's questions and about his health with kick-ass. He also declares Joe retarded and asks asks him to pay a fee of $5 billion. Just then, Joe notices 2505 written on the bill. He finally realizes that he has actually been inside the pot for 500 years. Joe almost doesn't believe it and goes to the window only to be surprised to see that the current condition of the city. Buildings are collapsed onto each other and some are held together by ropes. In addition, the city is filled with garbage. Meanwhile, panics and runs away from the hospital where the doctor calls the police on him for not paying the hospital bills. A voice narrates that Joe has woken into the world in crisis. The economy is in deep neglect. A great dust bowl has ravaged all the food supplies, and the number one movie in the country is called As. He goes to watch the movie that won Oscars only to stare at someone's behind for 90 straight minutes. At night, he is arrested for being unscannable and taken to the court. Then he is given a lawyer who happens to be Frito Pedango, the guy that Joe met in the post in 2005. Frito makes fun of him as everyone in the court laughs. Joe presents his case sincerely and explains why he is unscannable, but the lawyers and judge laugh at him. At last, the judge declares him guilty and sentences him to jail. Meanwhile, Rita also comes out of the pod and is trying to contact her manager and Bob an upgrade. She is unsuccessful as the phone asks her $2,000 to contact him. Just then, she is approached by a man who she takes and gets his money. At the same time, Joe is taken to an automated tattoo place where citizens are being given identification tattoo that makes them scannable. The machine asks him his name, but Joe starts to explain that he is not sure what is going on. Because of this, the machine reads his name as not sure and tattoos it on the wrist. The people around him also start calling him not sure. Then he is taken to amplitude and IQ test and asked questions about basic addition. Joe answers all of them correctly and is surprised to see people around him not being able to identify shapes. After that, he is taken to the prison. He finally begins to realize that everyone in the city world is stupid, so he tells the guard he is supposed to get out of jail today. The stupid guard lets him walk away, but the alarms catch him that the inmate has run away and the police chase him down the street. Joe somehow gets away from them and goes to Frito's place again. He believes that someone has created a time machine within the past 500 years and asks Frito help in getting one. Frito doesn't agree on helping Joe, but Joe tricks him by saying that he will give $8 billion for his help. Eventually, Frito reveals that he knows where the time machine is. Just then, the police knock on the door looking for Joe. The two run away through the window and drive to the museum. On their way, they meet Rita, who is still scamming the same guy. Rita gets in the car and is worried about that Upgrade will be looking for the money she owes him, till oblivious that he is already dead. As they drive, something from outside the car scans Joe's wrist and the police are notified of his location. The car's battery runs out and they get out of it. Right after, the police approach the car and fire at it. Soon, a bunch of people join and start to fight. Joe, Frito and Rita run away in hopes of getting to the time machine. Joe then takes the two to Costco, which is now the center of all trades. He even claims to have studied law in Costco. As they wait for the metro, Rita goes to the bathroom before she returns. Joe's wrist is accidentally scanned and the whole place is alerted of a criminal's presence. The metro arrives and Frito gets on it, but Joe waits for Rita only to be caught by the police. However, this time he is taken to the White House instead of prison. There, a confused Joe meets the President Camacho and his secretaries. Camacho makes one of him saying that he thought Joe's head would be bigger because he is smart. It turns out that the IQ test Joe took in prison surprised everyone because he had the highest IQ they had ever seen because of his intelligence. The president makes Joe the new Secretary of Interior. To Joe's surprise, they also declare him the smartest man in the world. Everyone then goes to the House of Representatives, where the president announced that the problem of food scarcity and the dust storm will be solved by the new Secretary of Interior, Mr. Not Sure. He also promises to pardon Joe's prison time if he solves the problem. After that, a cabinet meeting is held where the secretaries ask Joe to say something smart. Joe says some random complicated words, making them believe that he is in fact smart. Then Joe asks Frito to draw a map of the location of the time machine until he distracts the secretaries. Later, he takes them to a field where crops are supposed to be grown. He also asks them to get Rita because she might be able to help them with the crops. Now, everyone is at the field where Rita secretly hands Joe the map. At the same time, Rita arrives there. Joe takes her aside, planning to run away using the map, but his plan fails. When he sees that Frito's map is just a line, then Joe realizes that people have been watering the crops with the energy drink, Brando. He holds a cabinet meeting to start using water instead of Brando. The secretary thinks this idea is atrocious. So instead of reasoning with them, he simply tells them that he can talk to the plants and they want water. Joe is unknown that the energy drink had caused salt to develop over top soil, which killed plants and caused by dust storms. Hence, he is actually solving their problems. For a few days, everything goes to plan, but soon the energy drink's brand stocks drop to zero because of the decreased production. This leaves half the population employed. They riot outside the White House. The news announces that Joe is taken to court for making people unemployed and is proven to be guilty. He is sentenced to one night in rehabilitation. In the new world, rehabilitation is when a criminal is chased by a large truck in the arena as a crowd of audience cheer for the truck. The rehabilitation mostly ends with the criminal's death. Joe is taken to the arena when Rita sadly returns to the White House, ready to go to the time machine with Frito. The rehabilitation is broadcasted on national television. Joe is chased by a massive killing truck as he drives around in a small car. Chased then, Rita notices a rose plant going outside. She realizes that Joe's idea to water the plants had worked and asks Rita to take her to the arena. She plans to broadcast the crops on the television so Joe's punishment would be pardoned. Meanwhile, Joe is still trying to save his life from the dead truck. Rita reaches there on time and drives a cameraman to go to with Frito and film the growing crops. She then goes to the monitoring room and takes over the control panel. Frito finally gets to the field and films the crops. The clip is broadcasted on the large screen. Seeing this, President Camacho saves Joe from being killed and pardons his punishment, making the crowd erupt in cheers. Now everyone is at the frat party in the White House. Rita reveals that she doesn't want to return home because she likes the future better. Joe is surprised but doesn't force her to come with him. The two say their last goodbye. But before Joe leaves, the president calls him on the stage and declares him as a new vice president. Everyone looks at Joe with hopeful eyes, making him agree to stay in 2505. Then one person calls the time machine a stupid ride. Frito takes a confused Joe to the machine and it is finally revealed that the time machine is actually a children's ride. The scene cuts to a few months later when Joe is elected as the president of the United States and Rita becomes his wife and the first lady. Under his leadership, a new era dawned and people hoped that humans could once again be smart. He even has 3 kids with Rita who are said to be the smartest kids in the world. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notification and leave a like to hit the channel out. Thanks for watching.